Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'd like, thank you all for tuning in to the show. Got my regular crew with me, Darnell and Tyler. I'm Trey, and we're coming your way with the 36th edition of the Don't Kill the Messengers podcast. Have a lot that we have to cover this week, but the first thing we're about to get into is UFC 203. You guys can check that out this Saturday around 10 o'clock Eastern time. So let's get ready to get into that. This is going to be pretty interesting because the first guy that we're about to talk to is CM Punk. He's going to be making his UFC debut. Darnell, what do you think about him making his debut against Mickey Gall?
I don't think it's going to end well for him. I mean, this is like a lot of people are trying to compare it to Brock Lesnar, but Brock was a
freaking nature.
National, well, that, and he was a national champion, like collegiate wrestler. He's pretty much, he had a background to go with it. He was a one of a kind athlete, and he still did it when he was kind of, he made the transition when he was in the prime years of his life.
Yeah.
Phil Brooks, or CM Punk as he is known, is doing this at a more advanced age.
Yeah, I was about to say, he's next month, he's going to be 38 years old. You know, the thing about that's usually a time in a fighter's career where they want to hang up the gloves or where you really see a decline in their game. He's making his debut at around that age. So this is, it's going to be tough for him, man, for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like it definitely has a feel of a money grab that the UFC is going for. I mean, people are definitely going to tune in for the car crash aspect of it. You know, you won't be able to turn and look away, and you know they're going to get a lot of the WWE crowd coming in. Like, you know, I'm speaking as a pro wrestling fan. I'm interested in it, even though I think it's probably like almost unsafe for CM Punk. I mean, this is a guy coming in with like maybe a year of BJJ experience. I think he started training while he was still in the WWE. But I mean, you got guys in there that have been doing it for years and they aren't even black belts. So I'm not even sure his level in it. And you know, he has the money to make a big camp, and the UFC tried to give him a inexperienced opponent in Mickey Gall, but I mean, this is somebody that at least went through the grind and went through lower cards as an amateur and has worked his way up to be in the UFC. CM Punk is getting just a free ride to get in there, and you know, it's surprising to me it actually got sanctioned. But I guess go ahead and surprise me, CM Punk, but I'm not expecting him to win this fight.
Yeah. Same here. Just one thing I just found a little interesting. Yeah, they do have him listed as CM Punk on the UFC, so I guess he's not going to go. He's going to stick with his whole wrestling name instead of just Phil Brooks.
That's what's marketed. Nobody, you say Phil Brooks, people are going to say who?
Yeah.
CM Punk is what made him all of his money, and he owns the rights to it. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that the plan was always, we will be calling you CM Punk, since that's what everybody that knows you as.
Good marketing. Yeah, you know, true. Since this is going to be his first time, you know, ever getting into the ring, if this gets bad for him, you know, if he suffers a bad loss, could you see this being a one and done for him?
Yeah, I mean, if he goes in there and just gets slaughtered, like brutally knocked out, where it, like you're, like I said, where you can seriously worried if he's okay, and he sees like this is not a game, like this isn't scripted like the WWE. I mean, like they take real falls and stuff like that, but you're not taking real heavy punches and kicks to the face. Those joint locks, like you're being protected by who you're in the ring with in the WWE. These people are seriously trying to injure you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm pretty sure he knows this is a totally different game. I would hope he's done some sparring right now where he's had to take some shots, but it's a whole different animal when the person is like in there not to help you train, but in there to take your lights out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel the same way, man. Just like I said, this is just a new experience for him. He has took some beatings in the WWE. But at the same time, the whole purpose in the WWE is not to really actually injure you. It's still scripted, but they do have their licks and bruises and whatnot. But these guys, when they get up in the ring with him, they're going to try to, knock his head off if they can. So,
and I think it's going to actually just be worse because, like I said, he's not paid his dues. He's coming straight over. A lot of the MMA people, there is some crossover, but a lot of those fighters, they like to mock the WWE wrestlers because it's not legit fighting. So I think some of them might feel disrespected because CM Punk might have taken some young prospect spot. So
exactly.
That might be the feeling, and I think that they might be out there to make sure he pays for it.
Yeah, sure. Now, how do you see this fight going, man? Will he last a round or split this decision? How do you think this will happen? Win for CM Punk?
I mean, like CM Punk, he is a tough guy, but and I'm not too knowledgeable on Mickey Gall. He has a 2-0 record.
His last, was only 2 fights. He's won by submission. Just to let you know.
So I mean, that's kind of probably the way I would be assuming it goes. I mean, get some hits to see if you can get CM Punk either rock trying to come at you for a takedown or something, and probably he takes his back and chokes him out, probably somewhere inside the first round.
Yeah, I agree. I think Mickey, just with him going up in there, he's going to be fighting a former professional wrestler. I think he's going to come in there cocky, probably play with him a little bit and choke him out. I think out of all the guys he choked out, this is going to be the easiest one for him to do against us. This guy has no prior experience fighting professionally, in the octagon. So, yeah, I feel the same way, man. I think, Mickey's going to have his day with him. So. Up next, for the co-main event, we're going to have Verdum versus Brown. Both of these guys have suffered knockouts in their last fights. How do you think, who do you think is going to get the edge to win this one, Darnell?
As long as he is back to having smart game plans and fighting the way he's supposed to fight, I'm going to go with Fabricio Verdum. Yeah. I think he, fell in love with his hands a little bit. When he lost the belt, so, with that chasing down of Miocic that he did, it just was ridiculous.
Yeah,
so
perfect way for him to get caught like he did.
Yeah. So I think hopefully his coaches settled him down and have shown him like that's not your bread and butter. You've gotten a lot better with your hands, but you're one of the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu players to ever come through MMA. So your hands to get somebody to the ground and do what you do best. And if he does that, he should beat Travis Brown.
Yeah. So you think TKO on the ground or what? How do you?
No, I'm thinking probably some type of submission.
Okay.
A joint locker or a guillotine or something based on him working the ground on him. It's just he has to get Travis Brown to the ground.
Yeah, I can respect that. For some reason, I'm just feeling a knockout for Verdum for some reason. Brown, he's been tested time to time with his shin. I think he's going to try to work him on the ground and things like that. Fatigue might settle in, but I just think Verdum's going to end up catching him and getting a TKO, just a regular knockout of some sort. This is what I'm feeling with him against Brown. So, but I could definitely see him working the ground and getting a submission on him for sure. But I got to go with my gut feeling on this one. Now, the main event, before we get into that, can you see whoever wins this fight, can you see them ending up facing the winner of the main event?
I can see Verdum getting a rematch.
But you think Brown will still have to work?
Okay. I think so.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. Now we're about to get into Overeem versus Miocic. That's going to be the main event for the fight. Whoever wins, Miocic, he can either retain his title, or Overeem, he can take the heavyweight title off of him. How do you see this fight going?
This is an interesting one. It's going to be a stand-up fight. There's going to be some heavy shots thrown. Miocic is shown to be a very smart heavyweight. He gets in and out. He picks his punches well. He's a good counter puncher. Overeem seems to, as of late, has found his groove again, where he's being patient. He's not trying to go into slugfest with people. He's moving in and out. I think he's bought into Greg Jackson's system, and his career has resurged for it. So, I guess I'm feeling like it's finally Overeem's time to get the heavyweight title that's evaded him for a while. So I think he gets like maybe a third round TKO.
Yeah, I'm feeling the same way, man. You already know I love Overeem, so I'm gonna be rooting for him regardless. But he's just been on the tear. His last 4 fights, he ended up winning his last 4 fights. 3 out of the 4 were due to KOs. Stipe Miocic, he was doing good too. His last 3 fights he's won, they were all TKOs. KO. They finished with KOs. So both of these guys will look good in the ring. I just think with all of Overeem's experience and just how he's just been on the tear lately, if everything goes well, I just think he's going to end up catching Miocic in the fight. So either way, whoever ends up winning, like I said, I do have Overeem winning by KO, but I think somebody's going to get rocked in that ring for sure come Saturday. So
yeah, I wouldn't bet on a decision in this fight.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be a heck of a fight to see some guys standing up, just slugging it out. So now, any other thoughts for the UFC?
It should be a fun card. You also got Uriah Faber on the card. Got Beshka Hayda, Ronda Rousey's last win, who she beat, versus Jessica Eye, and then you got Joanne Calderwood, that some might remember from one of the ladies season of the Ultimate Fighter. Got some good fighters on there, so it should be an interesting card.
Yeah. So definitely should be a good card for sure. So I'm gonna try to check it out this Saturday, see how it's gonna play out. Just CM Punk, man, wow, you're gonna have to protect yourself, man. It's gonna be different from the WWE. I'm not gonna be expecting a lot out of him in that fight, but it's just gonna be good to see him in that ring, man, to see what he's gonna do. So
chin down, hands up.
For sure. All right, now we're going to get into some NCAA football. We really could have just devoted this whole show to college football, man. It was just, what a week for it to just start off like it did for week 1, man. It was absolutely amazing weekend of football for sure. Just what are you guys' thoughts on week 1 and the new rankings?
Finally, it's here.
Yeah.
I think that's the overwhelming response.
For sure.
Yeah, but it's crazy to have, you usually have that one week in the season where it seems like everybody at the top of the poll gets upset, but you don't expect it week 1.
Yeah.
We got it week 1. So, it was just, this was the one time where everybody that says polls don't matter this early, like, polls don't matter this early this year.
Yeah.
A lot of teams were greatly underrated and some were greatly overrated, and we see some of that shake up, and coming out of this week 1, it looks like I'm looking at a poll from like 1994 with all the old school powers being back up top.
Yeah, I completely agree. It seems like there is one week of the year where it's upsets. Maybe this is a year of upsets. Last year it was kind of the year of the crazy finish. Maybe it's the year of the upset this year. And, if that's what we have in store for us, if week 1 was just a glimpse, man, it's going to be a heck of a year. It is going to be a heck of a year. But, I think we saw a lot of things we expected. We saw some teams take care of business that really should have taken care of business. We saw games we thought were going to be close turn into blowouts, and we saw some games we thought were going to be blowouts end up close. So we got a very nice taste of everything that college football can offer all in week one.
Yeah. Now, what are your guys' biggest surprise for week one?
I think one big surprise for me was Tennessee. A lot of people are picking them to win the SEC East. A lot of people are even picking them to win the SEC, which I may not necessarily be there. And I'm not saying that just because of week one. Even last week, I believe I picked them to win the SEC East, but I'm definitely not win the SEC. They played Appalachian State. I know that team a little too well, unfortunately. But, I think nobody expected them to have an overtime thriller week one against Appalachian State. That definitely put a reality check on Tennessee very fast.
Yeah. My biggest surprises were Texas for good reasons, and LSU for bad reasons. Expected Texas to make some strides this year, but they seem to be well up for the challenge. I mean, it's still early, so I don't know if it was people underrating Texas too much or overrating Notre Dame too much, but they showed that they're getting better and possibly in a hurry. They figured it's one of the few times where it looks like a 2-quarterback system might work. We'll see how that goes in the future. Then on the other side, LSU, I figured they would have made some changes so that their quarterback play would be improved over last year, but Les Miles kind of just said we're going to keep doing what we've been doing, and that's leaning on Leonard Fournette. And I think all that's going to do is get that kid hurt before he can get to the league and make his money. Because nobody's respecting that passing game, and I don't see that changing anytime soon unless they have a backup sitting that they can throw in there that might be able to open it up.
Yeah, speaking of LSU Wisconsin game, watching that game in the first half, it was more of a question. It was clearly a defensive game in the first half. I think everybody can agree with that. Wisconsin found a way to really limit Leonard Fournette. I think he really only had one, maybe two substantial runs in the first half, which kind of surprised me. I figured he'd get a quick one right out of the gate. I figured LSU would have had a scheme play set up just for Leonard Fournette and really get him going early on. And I feel like Wisconsin did a great job of shutting him down early and often. He still ended up with decent numbers. He didn't break 200 yards, which we've seen him do consistently. But, I think the surprise in that game for me wasn't necessarily LSU once again not finding, consistency in a quarterback. I think I was a little more surprised with the stability that Wisconsin's offense provided once they got rolling a little bit. I didn't expect their offense to come out and really move the ball like they were able to do. They haven't found a quarterback in the last few, since Russell Wilson, since he transferred there. They haven't really had a quarterback that was able to really move the ball for them down the field with what seemed to be ease at times. But I was surprised by the consistency that Wisconsin's offense brought. I expected their defense to be pretty stout. They got big guys. So.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like kind of Wisconsin brought a scheme in that they just looked at last year's game plan and they said, look, we're not going to let Leonard Fournette beat us. If LSU is going to beat us, it's going to be on Brandon Harris. So, but I mean, it didn't happen. The guy finished with a 6.9 QBR, and you just can't win a game like that.
Yeah, for me, Darnell, you brought up the whole Texas just real quick. Just huge shout out to Swoops, man. This guy's a senior. He's a backup. A lot of times, you see guys, people, getting ready to graduate or get ready to leave. They find out they're back up, they want to leave, or, they're not into the game, like they should be. But this guy's number was called and he stepped up like no other, for Texas against that game against Notre Dame. So huge, just good play on his part for Texas. But the key surprises for me, would be Alabama and LSU. LSU for me, just because, whole last year, Leonard Fournette, he was doing his thing for the, football team. This guy has the ability to just shatter records, but that won't happen if you honestly can't keep the defense honest. The defenses that they play against, they do not trust their passing game. Their quarterback for LSU was making some big time mistakes, bad passes in that last game. So if the defenses aren't going to be able to trust that LSU passing game, and LSU's not going to be able to do anything with their passing game, they're just going to load up the boxes and just continue to put pressure on Fournette, and that's just going to wear him down throughout the season. It could really hurt his draft stock as well. So, that's just a guy that can just shatter records. But LSU, they need to get that passing game record if they want to really have a successful running game. This be a successful team overall. But for just Alabama to me, they were number one. There was just many question marks I had against that team coming into the season. Even though I'm a huge fan of them, with the whole quarterback situation, who will they start? Their defense, my man Kirby Smart, shout out to him for doing this thing over in Georgia last week as well. But just so many question marks about this team. They started off slow. USC was hanging in there, but as soon as they got Person to the game and have them play as the quarterback, they really started rolling. I did not expect them to win with the fashion that they did, with all these question marks that I had with them in the season. And they really stepped up. They looked really comfortable with Hurts. So it's going to be just interesting to see how he's going to be able to lead that team further on. So I think, with last week, that pretty much settled who will start for the quarterback for them. And those guys were rolling when he came into the game.
Yeah, and just real quick jumping in, you mentioned swoops a second ago for Texas. How about that freshman quarterback they got? How many long balls did he put right on the money?
True.
Like he looked good for a freshman quarterback. I mean, if they have him throwing those bombs all year long and swoops in those short situations or situations where they need to move the ball on the ground, with the ability to throw, they could be dangerous.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think at some point, with swoops and the 18-wheeler package, they're gonna have to have him throw the ball just so it doesn't become just what's happening when he's in there. They're gonna have to throw in a little bit of like pass option or something like that, where he'll take a couple steps out and drop back and hit somebody short, just so that keeps people honest. But I mean, as far as against Notre Dame, their game plan was perfect.
Yeah,
I agree.
Now, just with all the, upsets and everything that just happened so far and everything and all the good games that we saw, do you guys think there should still be a preseason poll or what?
I mean, realistically, no, just because we don't know these teams until we see them.
Mm-hmm.
We know how good some of the kids are in high school that they recruit, so they might be building. You might have an idea that a team might be good or not, but you never. I mean, USC had the number 2 or 3 recruiting class last year, and they've been in the top 5 for the last 4 years. So everybody's expecting Alabama, USC to be a slugfest, and they got boat raced.
Yeah.
So it's hard to do it because you don't know how these teams are going to be. But I mean, it's fun that they put it out basically for talking heads like us to argue about it and see if we agree with it, and it's a discussion point.
Yeah, I agree with a lot with what you're saying. To answer the question, should there be a preseason poll? I say yes. I believe it gives some of the smaller schools something to play for week 1. Appalachian State, they're going out to try and pull off the upset. They know they're not being picked to win the game. Granted, any player will tell you they believe that they'll win the game, but odds are they most likely won't. You know, some of these smaller schools coming out, they come out week one for the upset. Yeah. And I think that preseason poll gives the smaller schools a lot of motivation. It gives big-time matchups motivation. You know, one thing I think the BCS system had right was the fact that the BCS didn't come out with their rankings till like week 5. They saw what the teams were before they put them in a ranking. That was one thing I liked about the BCS is you had an appropriate sample size, you had a taste of what the team was, and then they gave them a ranking based on, 4 or 5 games. And I think that is a very appropriate thing to do. Whether you like the BCS or not, I think the way they ranked the BCS, starting it during the duration of the season, was one positive that the BCS presented.
Yeah, that's why the same is done with the playoff committee.
Correct.
They need to get some games in front of them before they say who are the best 4
Correct.
Teams in the nation.
Building off of that point, the BCS ranking, the college football playoff ranking, those are what count. The AP poll now is just kind of, like Darnell said, it's a talking point. It's kind of messing around with the rankings. It's like it gives the college football playoff committee something to look at for a few weeks. That kind of seems to be all it is now. Granted, the AP poll holds zero validity once the college football playoff ranking comes out, but it gives us something to talk about.
Yeah, true.
And I would even say it is still a very fair assessment of where the teams should be ranked leading into the college football ranking.
Yeah, because I mean, the polls get better after every week goes because you have some play on the field. I mean, I guess the preseason poll, you take it just as a scoring guide based off of last year and players lost, who's stepping in what position, so you try to make the best guess you can out of that. But I mean, everybody knows it's not going to be really valid until a few weeks into the season.
Yeah, I agree with both you guys for sure, with both your assessments on it. Just a little quick thing too, I would just add, is that, the preseason polls, they are fun for sure, but another thing they could do, they could help put teams on the map and everything like that.
Yeah.
With the whole Appalachian State, if somebody's growing up, they didn't hear about, what happened to your Michigan a little while back, Todd, they can look at this game and say, okay, these guys can actually play ball. So it gives a lot of, respect and everything to those colleges that a lot of people don't hear about on Saturdays or see on Saturdays and follow them a little bit more and stuff like that. So, yeah. But now we're about to get to your guys' team in particular, University of Michigan and Michigan State. Didn't really play, like any powerhouses last week. But how did you guys feel about their performances overall?
You want me to go first on this one?
Sure.
Okay. Overall, I liked what Michigan brought to the table for week 1. They just played with the week 1 type of intensity. The players are just excited to be on the field, having fun. What ended up being a 60-point win for Michigan, they basically just came out and acted like they were going to win by 60 points. I mean, there's really no other way to talk about it. Wilton Speight was the quarterback, not the player I chose, but I'm not disappointed with the option. I really thought John O'Corn would win it, but after a first possession interception, really a first pass attempt, first play interception, Wilton Speight answered really nicely, led a touchdown drive, threw for a few touchdowns, really controlled the offense well, looked good. The defense looked good. They really kept Hawaii in check for the first half. Second half, Hawaii gained some yards on them and whatnot, but with the new defensive coordinator coming over from Boston College, it looks like they haven't really skipped a beat from last year, a defense that was very, very improved last year. Looks like they've built off that momentum. A player you really liked, Jordan Lewis, I don't even believe you saw the field for Michigan. They said he was nursing an injury. They just want to make sure he's healthy. Can't really blame them there. But Jabril Peppers, now a linebacker, looks good. He made a few tackles. He made the first tackle of the game, which I really like to see. It shows, he still has a nose for the ball, loves to get at it. Just overall, a player I was really impressed with, freshman running back, last name Evans, rushed for over 100 yards, had a couple touchdowns. Just looked, it's hard to say, someone looked really good against Hawaii, who's let up over 50 and 60 points in back-to-back weeks, but he looked good. The offensive line provided holes for him to run through. Maybe he can turn into something as a solid option running back. I don't know if he'll take the starting job from Davion Smith right away or ever, but if he could be a second option that's really solid, I will not be disappointed at all. It's always nice to have a couple options in the backfield. Players get banged up in football. It happens. So to have a couple options back there is really nice. The receiving core looked good. That's something Michigan fans should expect. Jake Butt caught a pass for a touchdown. Amara Darbo caught a touchdown. J.Q. Cheston caught a few passes, almost 100 yards. In reality, Michigan showed enough to show promise for the season coming forward, both offensively and defensively. I take it with a grain of salt only because it was Hawaii, but for week one, I liked what I saw.
All right. I did not like what I saw.
Were you nervous?
After that pick, yes.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie about it. I love my team, but I'm gonna be honest about them. They did not play up to expectation. I know traditional Michigan State, they're a little bit sluggish game one, but I didn't expect this game to ever be in question. There were a couple bright spots. I'll get to those. LJ Scott cemented himself as kind of that bell cow. He had 20 carries for 105 yards and a touchdown, so solid numbers there. Monty Madera stepped up as that lead receiver, 5 receptions for 85 yards. We had a lot of people getting nicked up in the game, so that was, I don't know if that clouded some of the things offensively. Tyler O'Connor was kind of alive. Wasn't a bad game for him except for the late interception where I think that's just something he's going to have to work on. There's a couple times where he seemed to be kind of staring his receiver down. Got to work on looking off receivers, especially as a senior stepping up. You have to do that. R.J. Shelton left the game early, so that was another weapon that he lost. Both tight ends got in the end zone. I like seeing that, showing that they're going to be part of that offense. My issue, though, was along the defensive line. I know play calling is usually vanilla in a game like this, so they're not going to try to show too much because we have Notre Dame coming up in 2 weeks. So I know they didn't want to give away too much as far as plays that they have cooked up or whatever, but I did not like how much they got gashed by, especially little running back Moorhead. Got 83 yards, over 20 carries. He didn't break 100, but as a team, I think they had about 150 yards rushing. Just didn't sit well with me. You could see Malik McDowell is a beast, but he's going to need help. He was dealing with double and sometimes triple teams trying to break open through plays, and he was still doing it. So didn't have an issue with him, but his cohorts on the D line are going to have to step up. I did like how the secondary played outside of 2 big pass interference plays by Hicks. Turn your head, son. That's all you got to do, and you'll be fine. But yeah, definitely a lot to clean up on defense. And yeah, I was nervous on Tyler O'Connor's late interception, but Andrew Dowell made a ridiculous interception the next play, basically a one-handed grab, and they were able to put it away from there. But rough game, a lot to look at, a lot to fix. But I'm not, like, I was pretty much furious after the game started, but after a couple days, I rewatched the game. I think it's a lot of stuff that can be fixed, especially on the penalty side, because there's like 10 penalties for 110 yards or something like that. You fix a lot of that. That's a lot of jams that they let Furman get out of by stupid penalties. So,
yeah, just talk about Michigan State here. I said it in our group text. Michigan State tends to not look good week one, like you said.
Yeah.
If we remember last year, they made it to the college football playoff after letting Western Michigan hang around week one. Mm-hmm. So, I never judge a team week one. It's easy to do, but it's not smart.
Yeah. Just for Michigan State, it's a good thing they have a bye week, but it's still tough. Because I believe you pointed out last week too, Darnell, they got 10 games straight after this bye week, right?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Oh yeah, 11.
They just go straight on.
Yeah, so it's a good week for them to get this bye week in, because they're gonna have Notre Dame next week, and then after that they're gonna have Wisconsin, I believe. But like I said, it's week one. Everybody's not gonna be at their peak. Nobody's gonna be playing their 100% best. To start the season off. So a lot of kinks for everybody to work out. So. You said what?
Yeah, unless you're Alabama.
True, man, because they looked
so good.
Yeah, we'll get to them in a sec. But yeah, they looked amazing. But yeah, just everybody has some stuff they still got to work on for sure. So, but anything else to add about your guys' teams before we move on?
Nope. All right. Okay. Hopefully, in this bye week, they clean up some stuff.
Yeah. All right, you good too, Ty?
Yeah, I'm all set.
All right, well, now we already added something about the Alabama versus UFC game, but you guys have any other thoughts on it?
They answered a lot of questions I had. Unless USC is a fluke, basically, and just not a very good team, which I guess the rest of the season will show. But they came out at the beginning. USC looked like they were going to try to fight. Even got on the board first, but then it just seemed like Alabama just started steamrolling them, especially after Jalen Hurts came in and pretty much snatched that starting job and set it up for himself. Barnett might get another shot, because his numbers weren't terrible, but he just wasn't really as electric as Hurts is. And Alabama was Alabama. They ran all over him. They threw all over him, and the defense was, after pretty much USC's first drive, the defense just turned into the steel curtain. Yeah. So, you're almost ready to just give him the trophy week one, but I know we got a lot of seasons for it.
Yeah, injuries can happen, anything, man.
Yeah, it's true. I saw a lot of good out of Jalen Hurts. Early on looked a little nervous, but
that fumble, I was like, oh,
yeah.
man.
But in reality, who wouldn't be being thrown into the middle of a game like that? Yeah. Especially not exactly expecting to be put in the game. Yeah. So I don't blame him for any of those early miscues that he had, but I will say, with it only being week one, Hurts looked good, but I still believe he has some stuff he needs to work on. I think he needs to work on his arm a little. I feel like he did a pretty good job of reading coverage, though, and that led to a lot of easier throws for himself. Most notably, he read very well. I believe it was, can't remember if it was the first half or second half, but the USC secondary showed blitz. The wide receiver got right past him, and he basically had a nice little 10-yard dump pass. And that led straight for a touchdown right up the sideline. He did a really good job of reading the coverage, seeing what was available for him, and taking it. And I'm going to go ahead and say he did that very well with the running as well. Scoring both through the air and on the ground. He just looked really solid, especially for a first game. Yeah. I'll just piggyback on Darnell. The defense took control. The defense did a really good job of allowing the offense to work. the offense didn't put the defense right back on the field. And in turn, the defense did a really good job of stopping USC and keeping that offense on the field. I feel like that was just the definition of a very good team win all the way around.
Yeah. Just something for me to add real quick. If you look at the Alabama championship teams under Saban, they had just quarterbacks that were just game managers, clock managers, things like that. Hurts, he looks like he can evolve into something bigger than that. That guy, just looking at that game, he has a very high upside, especially since his freshman year. It seems like he could branch out and do something beyond that and really be a great quarterback in the NCAA. So it's just going to be interesting to see how he's just going to evolve, this season, next season, and so forth. Because that guy, just looking at him, he had a lot of potential. Once he started getting some confidence and started rolling, get some plays to get him going and everything like that. So,
and over the last few years, it just seems like Saban cannot make a bad decision.
Yeah.
Deciding to take Burnett out, putting in Hurts, it was just like you could not have had that situation turn into any more gold than it did.
Yeah. And, too, we brought it up before the show. It's going to be interesting to see how, they got Sarkisian now. So I know, Darnell, you said over the phone, with, people could be looking at potentially getting, Kiffin a head coaching job or something. So this is a USC guy, that could help, bring some talent, to the Alabama's offense and so forth. So it'd be interesting to see what he can do, in the future for them.
Yeah. I mean, Saban's just one of those guys where I think he's one of those coaches that's just honestly playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers. So he's 3 steps ahead. There's missteps here and there, but I think he knows just, I think people have kind of worn back up to Lane Kiffin after last year, and already game 1 this year, opening up the playbook. People are seeing he's a very good offensive mind. Yeah. Even though he may rub people the wrong way and probably is not the one you want as the head coach if you're at a prestigious place. But I mean, the NFL might come calling for him to be a coordinator, or like I said, a not too highly rated school might want to call him in to see if he might be their head coach, to see if he can take them up to the next step. And I think Saban knows that. So getting somebody else that would be a seamless transition on offense, like he's done so many times with his defensive coordinators.
Yeah. All right, guys. Anything else to add about Alabama USC?
Alabama's going to be scary all year if they keep this up.
Tide is rolling.
Yeah, already week 1. Okay, up next, Notre Dame versus Texas. This definitely, it is week 1, but this potentially is going to be game of the year, man. That game was just an absolute just thrill to watch. Amazing. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think about it?
Yeah, I think Notre Dame really figured out who their quarterback was. I think that it was a no-brainer. If you watched the game, it was obvious who the better quarterback was. I think Notre Dame's passing game is their strength. Offensively, with Torrey Hunter Jr. being their best wide receiver. I think they have the ability to put up a lot of points almost every week. They had some offensive line struggles that I noticed throughout the game a little bit. I also think Texas's defense was a little underrated. Not many people are talking about them, and they showed up and looked really good at some times. But I think in terms of Notre Dame figuring out who their quarterback was, naming him the guy, I think that was the smartest thing they could do moving forward. Because with the two QB system, it seemed like they were 2 completely different teams. They went out and scored on their first possession, and then I believe they had a 3 and out, or they got 1 first down, and that was it. They're punting. So I was almost surprised they stuck with 2 QBs for as long as they did. I don't know whether you could say that hurt them or whatever. I mean, they still had an opportunity to win the game, so I don't think you could blame it on that. in terms of Texas, I really liked what I saw. Great freshman quarterback, Buechele, however you pronounce that.
I think it's Buechele.
Yeah, Buechele, I believe that's right. I mean, I think he looked great. He was hitting the long ball right on the money, and Texas dropped 2 of them right in the hands. But I think those who knew him before going to Texas, I don't think they would say they were surprised. But, for us who, didn't follow Longhorn recruiting, first time really hearing of this guy, you had to be super impressed by what he was doing. And then the ability to bring in Tyrone Swoops and run the ball with such efficiency, that was really hard for Notre Dame to stop. The final score indicated that. Really, the final play indicated that. But, I think Texas looks very promising. Coach Strong is really working well with these guys. I think Texas believes in him. I think Texas believes in the team they're putting on the field now. I think this win was huge for the program. I think that the game was great from beginning to end. I felt very compelled with the game. I felt very into the game despite not having a rooting interest. Tran said it. I think that game could rival game of the year already. But overall, I think we could see that obviously someone had to win. Both teams looked good in areas and bad in others, but I think overall people would say they're a little surprised by Texas, probably not expected to win that game, but they were definitely some of the big winners over the weekend along with Wisconsin, which we'll get to, jumping from not ranked to 11th.
Yeah, I mean, with this game, it's just one of those what a difference a year makes situation. Because, last year Texas was only able to put up 3 points against Notre Dame, and Notre Dame still scored in the 40s. And a year later, Texas is with them through the whole game and takes it out in overtime. Like I said, I'm still not sure where these two teams are. I think those suspensions on defense hurt Notre Dame a lot more than people were thinking. And of course, Texas was at least a little bit underrated. I think people were just buying into that hype. This is probably Charlie Strong's last year, especially if they can't muster up and win some games and show some improvement. It looks like what he's tried to put in place is finally starting to show. He had to get rid of a lot of good players, but just bad seeds for the team to kind of rebuild the unity of the team and put things together. It seemed like at times boosters weren't behind him. But it looks like he has something brewing here now. Like, this seems like a Texas team that we remember from back in the day. They have a quarterback that seems to match up to, I'm not putting him up here yet, but I'm just saying that could be your next Vince Young or Colt McCoy. And a defense that you expect from Texas is flying around, getting to the ball. I mean, not saying that this is the best D I've ever seen. They did allow 47 points.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not trying to anoint them, the
like an
94
Alabama
Cowboys
or something.
Yeah, or that. But this seems like a good football team now outside of Texas the last few years, which has been a complete dumpster fire. Yeah. So, like, I'm with both of you guys. It was one of the most fun games I've watched in this short season. It was the best game of last week, probably. I agree with you, Ty. Notre Dame has found their quarterback in Deshaun Kaiser. I don't know what Chip Kelly was thinking, like, still trying to plug Malik Zaire in times.
Yeah, he was sticking with that for quite a while in that game. That could have cost him.
It could. I don't disagree with that. Chip Kelly or Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly. Sometimes he's stubborn in his own way, like thinking what he's going to do is going to win. So he made some mistakes there. I think trying to do too much switching quarterbacks. I don't know if he's just trying to follow suit with what Texas was going with, but it doesn't work as well for them. He needs to just stick with Kaiser and roll with the punches. Of course, it didn't help Notre Dame that Torrey Hunter Jr. went down with a concussion. Though his teammates picked it up well enough. Equineme St. Brown, 5 catches for 75 yards and 2 touchdowns. C.J. Sanders got in the end zone. I think Notre Dame has a good team. I'm not sure how good their defense is either. That safety that got dismissed from the team and starting cornerback that's suspended indefinitely, I think those are issues that, if they don't tighten things up, I think most teams are going to be seeing if you might be able to win a shootout with Notre Dame if you can keep attacking them through the air.
Now, just like, we don't want to hype, teams up so much. This has been week 1. But do you guys, just based on what you saw, do you guys think Texas can be the dark horse to win their conference this year?
I don't want to go that far yet.
Yeah, I agree.
Oklahoma, they lost to a good Houston team. I'm pretty sure they're going to be sore, and when the Red River rivalry happens in a couple weeks, I think they're going to be out for blood there. Yeah. But I mean, like I said, I'm not a Texas alum or fan, so I know they're one of those blue blood colleges like USC or an Alabama or a Michigan, so they're probably expecting to be great this year. I'm not expecting that. I'm looking at them as what they are. They've had to make they've had to basically break themselves down to build themselves up. That's what Charlie Strong has been doing. I can see the progress. I think they're probably a 9-win team right now, unless they show me a little bit more on the defensive side where they can start shutting some teams down. But right now, I'm not giving them the Big 12.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go ahead and say they're going to win the Big 12, but are they probably the dark horse team to slide in and maybe take it? I would have to say they would be the team you would pick in that category. I mean, TCU had a close one that shouldn't have been close. Baylor had a nice win, but they didn't really play anybody. I think they played some school out of Louisiana, but it's just the idea that that's a very solid week 1 win that you can easily build off of. That's a momentum win.
Yeah, and Baylor played Northwestern State. So
so I mean,
basically a 50 spread, 50-point spread.
So if they can really ride the momentum that they received from beating a highly ranked Notre Dame team, maybe they can make noise this year. Possible. It's always possible.
Yep. For sure. Now, just do you guys have anything else to add to the NCAA overall before we move on?
No, just happy football's back.
Yes.
Same here. Just gonna get into our pick'ems real quick, for last week. Both of you guys are both tied for the lead. 3-1. I'm at 2-2. I was feeling it at first, man. When Ole Miss, I was about to start making fun of you guys.
I will admit,
when halftime came, I don't know what happened, man. It just
Jameis Winston happened.
That's speech.
That halftime speech. But I will tell you, I thought Francois was not the right choice for quarterback, and then he started to turn it up a little bit.
Yeah,
I'll be honest there.
And I mean, going to something I said last week, it depended if we get good Ole Miss and bad Ole Miss, or good Chad Kelly or bad Chad Kelly. Yeah. We got all of that in one game.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, unfortunately, we got 2 different ones in 2 different halves. Unfortunately for Ole Miss, it's not like it was a drive-by-drive thing. It was a halftime.
Yeah, I just thought, man, it's just being season opener. Those guys were to come in there and just bring it. They brought it. soon as halftime came, second half, it was just a completely different team. I was just like, wow.
It's true.
And, they gotta, you gotta be consistent, man. If you're gonna bring it the first half, you gotta bring it the second half. Too much talent, for these other teams, man. They could just step it up and just win the game, so. For sure. But we're about to get to the NFL now. Season starting up this week. Tomorrow we got a big game. We're going to get into that. We're going to make our pick'ems, this week for the NFL, since we don't really have a lot of, really good games pleasing to the eye happening the week 2 for the NCAA. But what are you guys mostly excited for this season, for the NFL?
I mean, I think it's just the usual stuff you get excited for. You want to see, like, what teams are going to come back. I don't think many people are expecting Denver to be able to repeat, so I think most people are expecting a new champion to crown this year. Can Carolina get back maybe? They have a lot of their team returning. They don't seem to be in as much flux as Denver does. I mean, I figure they still have a really good defense, but not sure about that quarterback situation. You got quarterback starting that most people are saying who. So
Yeah.
Sorry. Was it Trevor Siemian?
Yeah, Trevor Siemian out of Northwestern.
Yeah. So I mean, sorry, dude. But nobody expected you to be the QB1 for the defending Super Bowl champions. I don't think people like that look. And a lot of new faces in new places. The RG3 experiment. See how that works out, especially once Josh Gordon is back on the field. Tony Romo is once again injured. How will that affect Dallas?
7-20 with Romo injured, I believe.
Yeah.
So, gonna have to see what that can do, man.
So, I mean, a lot of stuff to look out for, and I think we're gonna end the year with a new champion from last year. So, just excited to see how that goes.
Yeah, I think one thing the general football fan's going to be excited to watch is what's going to happen to New England without Tom Brady. A lot of people are going to hope for an 0-4 start. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think a lot of people are going to watch New England as long as they're on TV to see if they lose. So I think that's just going to be interesting to watch, whether, no matter what you think's going to happen to them, it's going to be at least intriguing. Another thing I think that's going to be pretty intriguing this year is now with recent happenings, Minnesota getting Sam Bradford in a trade that I think surprised a few people, surprised me, because, with Teddy Bridgewater being the future of that team, I don't understand why they go out and trade for Sam Bradford. I mean, I get the logic. They can still win now with Sam Bradford, despite him not necessarily being the best of quarterbacks by the numbers. He can lead a team. He's had good moments, bad moments in the NFL. Just hopefully he can stay healthy for them. And then I think the last thing I'm excited for in general is just, kind of everybody cheering for their own favorite team. Just being excited the NFL's back, something to watch on TV on Sundays. It's not a movie on TBS or TNT or something.
Yeah.
Just, more football. Just more football.
Yeah, for sure. You got great games to watch that Saturday for college, and then, Sunday we're going to have some more games to watch as well. So it's going to be fun. So, for sure. We're about to get into our pick'ems now. All from Michigan, man. So we're going to talk Detroit every week to see how many wins we're all going to believe that they're going to be able to pull off this year, man. So they're going to play the Indianapolis Colts.
At Indy. For those who are curious.
Real quick, let me see if I can pull up the spread, for Detroit. Indianapolis, they have a 3.5, spread lead for the Detroit game. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Got 3.5 at home, huh?
Yeah. So what are you guys thinking?
Give me Indy. Sorry. When we talked about them earlier, I already said what my ceiling was, and it's not very high. So, I mean, I'm not huge on the Colts either. I don't find them to be they're an okay team, but I think Andrew Luck is probably going to have his way with Detroit's defense.
He's got to, man. All that money he's making this year, this is time to step up, and nothing like it to step up against, a team like the Lions. This would be a great game for him to get some momentum going and get some confidence going for the games to come. So,
but yeah, so I take the Colts 28-17.
All right.
This one's a hard one for me. Now living south of Indianapolis by about 2 hours. I feel like I have split allegiance going on or something. I don't really know.
It's okay. You can find the new teams as you.
Hey, they say blood runs thicker than water, so I'm gonna go with the hometown Kitty Cats and take the Lions in the final seconds.
Wow. Okay.
24-21.
All right, nothing wrong with that. I got to go with Indianapolis, the Colts. I just think, man, Andrew Luck, with all that money he's making, this got to be the year for him to step up. I think this is going to be the time for him to step up against a team like the Lions. Like I said just a minute ago, for him to get some confidence, start get some rhythm going so he can get ready to play these heavy hitters in this league. So I think the Colts are going to pull it off. I got them winning 28-13 against the Lions.
And also for the record, I'm picking the Lions because as a true Lions fan, every year is the year.
Yeah. True. Oh, man. All right. Up next, we have the Patriots versus the Arizona Cardinals. What do you guys have?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cardinals favored by 6, by the way.
Okay.
Favored by 6.
I'll take it first. I will go with the Cardinals. I think Garoppolo is going to be a little shaky early. I think he'll find Gronk once, if not twice, in the end zone. I think just all around, Arizona has more weapons, better running back, better defense, better secondary for sure. So I'm going to go with Arizona, easily cover the spread. I'm going to pick them by 2 touchdowns. I'm going to pick them 31-17.
All right. I'm going with Arizona as well. I just think that defense is going to be a little much for Garoppolo in his first start of the year. First start of his career, probably, in a regular season game. Think the Cardinals, will come in. They really have something to prove, especially with how they fell apart at the end of last year. And you want to make a nice statement, even if it's the Patriots without Brady. I'm going to go with Arizona 28-20.
Alrighty. I'm going to go with Arizona as well. I do think the passer QB, I think he's going to have an okay game. I was just talking with you guys before the show. When Brady was out with the injury, Matt Castle, they made him fit right into the system. I think he's going to have a pretty good game into the system as well. But, when Castle left, it wasn't as hot. So I just think, Bill Belichick in the system, I think it just benefits QB. So I think he's not going to have a terrible game, but I think, he's starting off, he's probably going to be nervous and things like that. But I think he's going to have an okay game overall. But that defense from Arizona, I think those guys are going to step up big time for sure. So I got Arizona. I got them winning 28-10. Put that down. And then we have the Super Bowl rematch tomorrow with Denver and the Panthers. How do you guys see that going? By the way, hold on. Let me get the spread for this one.
It's Carolina by 3.
Yeah, Carolina by 3.
Carolina by 3. Yeah, I'll go ahead and jump in here. I think Carolina just has more returning at valuable position, aka the quarterback. Cam Newton, I think he's going to be able to do some with his feet. I don't think the run game's going to get a lot going here. I think they'll find a little more through the air. Both teams will bring very good defenses out on the field. I don't think that'll surprise anybody. I think this game's going to be medium to low scoring. I see there being probably more field goals than touchdowns. But I'm going to pick Carolina once again, just because of the Cam Newton factor. I will pick them 24 to 13.
24-13, all right.
Yeah, rolling with the Panthers as well. As I mentioned earlier, I really don't have any faith in Denver's quarterback situation right now until I'm proved wrong. Carolina has I don't think I don't think I'm overstating to say probably one of the best 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the league in Cam. He actually has some weapons coming back this year now. I think there'll be a more wide open offense even than they got to be last year with Cam throwing a Ted Ginn in a trash can. So I take them probably to win this. I think Denver's defense will make a valiant effort, so I'll go 21-17.
All right. I'm going to go with the Panthers as well. I just think they're going to be pissed off. You know, they lost in the Super Bowl against this team. They're going to come out fired up, ready to play with this whole quarterback situation that Denver has with the new guy coming in. I believe their defense is going to step up and try to put up a solid effort as well. But just the Panthers just being fired up, you know, coming out that Super Bowl, I think they're going to have a chip on their shoulder this season. I think they're just going to come out there just fired up. Even though they lost Norman, I think they're going to just work hard, try to get back in there and possibly win it all this year. So I have the Panthers. I think they're going to pull through 27-10. And last but not least, our last game, we have Los Angeles Rams versus San Francisco.
What's the spread on this one?
This one is LA. They have a 2.5 lead on the spread sheet.
I don't know. I feel like this is just kind of two bad teams playing each other. I think the Rams will sport a little bit of a better defense. Chip Kelly's coaching debut in San Francisco, I think it's going to take some time to get that ship started. So I'm going to go with Todd Gurley and the Rams in a low-scoring affair. I'm going to go 17-10.
Oof. That sounds like an ugly game for a Monday Night Football game.
That's why it's the later game.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's two teams playing that I would probably rather not watch, especially with, we got Blaine Gabbert starting on one side, who I'm not sure why he's even starting. This is a tough one to pick.
Pass.
Give me the Rams just as they got better players, I guess. 3-point spread, I think they cover it. They have a better defense too. Give me the Rams 20-10.
20-10. All right. Not feeling these two teams either, man.
You put them on the pick-up list.
Yeah, because I have something to talk about after, so it's a lead up to it. But goodness darn that. But yeah, this is just, it's going to be interesting, I tell you that. But I'm going to go with the Rams as well. I do think they do have better players, but I think it's going to put some pretty decent points on the board for both sides. So I'm going to go with the Rams 28-24.
You think the Niners put up 24, huh?
Yeah. I mean, they're both horrible. They both can do it.
You did hear Blaine Gabbert at quarterback.
What happens more often, scoring or booing? That should be the real question.
I'll say booing.
Me too. Yeah. I mean, this is going to be a game people watch the beginning of just to see what happens, and then they'll probably turn it off. Like, let's just be brutally honest about it.
I mean, people are going to have to go to work and school in the morning, man, so.
Yeah, LA's going to watch it, but who, nationally? This game will have such low rate. Well, it'll have high ratings. For like
it'll get watched because it's football.
True. True.
But it's two guys. The king of 8-8, Jeff Fisher, and
they're bad. Let's just call it how it is.
How does he still have a job?
I don't know. Hey, it is what it is, man.
Let's just leave it alone and move on.
All right, so I'm about to get my cousin up in here in a minute. He's been patiently waiting. Kaepernick, he's been making the news like crazy last couple of weeks. He's got people from other sports joining him and sitting down for national anthem. I forgot the lady's name. She's a soccer player.
Megan Rapinoe.
Yep, she's sitting out as well. This just caused a lot of stir in this. For the whole country, everybody's got something to say about it. So before I get my cousin here, just want to ask you guys, is Kaepernick, is he going to be bigger than this Monday Night Football game come Monday? Because he's going to be, even though he's not going to be starting, he's going to be the talk for the night.
Yeah, I guess I'll start on this one. I think the message has kind of been skewed by the media a little bit as time's gone on and more has come on to the story. We're watching it unfold and play out. I feel like the issue's becoming Colin Kaepernick, not what he's trying to bring light to. I feel like we find ourselves talking, or at least when you hear discussion, it's more about Colin Kaepernick sitting than it is oppression, than it is unfair treatment in society. So I think, is Colin Kaepernick going to be seen as the bigger story than the game itself? Yes, for two reasons. One, we already alluded to. Both teams are pretty bad. So, of course, what are you going to be talking about in between the bad plays? Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Secondly, I think just in the society we live in, that's what we've talked about for the last, week and a half now? Has it been about that long?
Yeah,
about a week and a half,
yeah.
2 weeks. He's just about all we've talked about with the NFL, and this is the first time we've seen it on national TV. So it's going to be the main topic for at least the first quarter of the game. If it goes a little longer than that, they'll talk about it at halftime for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if there's somebody in the press box and they're talking about it with him or her. I just feel that he's going to be main topic for a while. And whether or not people like it, it's how it's going to be. I would like to see more discussion around the main issue rather than around Colin Kaepernick. But it's just the way it's played out.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely going to be something that even if the NFL doesn't want it, it's going to be something that's front and center. I mean, he's still going to be taking a knee during the national anthem, and cameras are going to be on it. They're going to be panning through the crowd to see what the reaction is about it. It's a polarizing issue, so yes, he is going to be technically bigger than the game for at least the first part of it until people start getting into the game. The whole discussion's not going to be on that. It will be talked about again Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
Like nobody's going to care about the score really on Tuesday. It's going to be like, okay, Cam is still sitting, and even if he doesn't see the field or take a snap, he's probably going to be talked to after the game. And it's the biggest story in sports right now, so of course it's going to be bigger than Monday Night Football.
Yeah. All right, Cuzzo, you there? See if
I'm here.
All right. Yep. We speak up. Yeah. See if we can hear you good.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Good. Reason why I got you on the show, man. Everybody's been talking about, how the vets feel and everything. You are a vet. How do you personally feel about this whole Kaepernick issue?
Me personally, I don't see it as a problem. I mean, he's exercising his First Amendment right to state how he feels, whether it's by speaking or, in his case, taking a seat.
Now, did you feel, since you were a vet, do you feel like in any way, shape, or form, him sitting during the national anthem, do you think that's, have you felt like offended in any way, or what?
No.
Okay. Now, what about, talking to, friends and stuff in the military? How do they feel about that as well?
Hey, it's a mixed reaction because it was a guy that I was close with, that I deployed with, and the conversation kind of came to light, and I could tell by the tone of his voice that he thought I was crazy for how I felt about it. And then if you go to Twitter, I've seen the hashtags Veterans for Kaepernick. It's pretty much split down the middle, 50-50 from what I've been seeing for the most part.
Yeah.
Question. Do you feel like sometimes, just like Tyler alluded to it earlier, like people really don't want to talk about the issue of what Cap has stated, why he's sitting or taking a knee now, to try to curb it so people didn't feel like he was disrespecting vets. But do you feel like the vet issue is kind of a crutch or distraction from getting to what's really at hand at what he's talking about? Because a lot of times when people use that one, like, it's disrespecting the veterans and people that have fought for our country, like, my first question I usually want to go, okay, well, what are you doing for these vets that you seem to be so offended for, especially if you're not one?
Exactly. I feel that in many cases they are using it because some of those same people will probably say, oh, you're disrespecting the vets, but yet there was years ago when Iraq, the war kicked off back in like 2003, 2004, they were the main ones against it. And then speaking of vets, like, if they saying all that, I see a lot of them that I'm pretty sure they don't do much to help the homeless vets that's out there. It's a whole lot that can go into that just goes beyond the surface of just what they're trying to use that as a crutch is.
So you think, like, the media just overall, like, they are just not really how they've been presenting the issue, like, they've just been making it that they lose focus on the actual issue that Colin Kaepernick is sitting down for?
Long story short, yes.
Okay.
Quick question, I guess, coming from me. Do you think that players that are deciding to come alongside Colin Kaepernick and kneel during the anthem or sit, as the player from Seattle is choosing to do you think that this might become the new way to try and push your own personal agenda and then not necessarily make a mockery of Colin Kaepernick, but just kind of make this the new thing to do? And it's not really pushing the issue. It's just, hey, I saw it get attention one time, so I'm going to do it and then push my agenda. Like, do you think that diminishes what Colin Kaepernick's trying to do?
Oh, that's a good question, but you know, with everything that goes on, it's a lot of people that just jump on the wave, just like you said, just so they can get attention to bring whatever issues or problems they have out, whether it's somewhat relevant to the situation or they just doing it just because they see somebody else doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I got a question just for, everybody up in here, what I was just thinking about, in particular, just like peer pressure and stuff like that. Like, what percentage of like NFL players would you guys say, particularly like the black athletes, would want to join Kaepernick and sitting out for the, national anthem, but are either scared, they're not making money like he's making, peer pressure, what would a coach, their teammates think, and so forth like that? Do you think there's a lot of athletes too that would like to join Colin Kaepernick in this issue, but are just nervous about it, or what?
Oh, I would say for sure. I mean, it just honestly, it takes a certain type of person to be able to do what Colin is doing. Yeah. I mean, it was a ballsy thing he did. He's not the face of a franchise anymore, so it's not like he doesn't have that bulletproof shelter for himself, knowing that he's carrying a franchise where if he does something like this, there's not going to be a big repercussion for him. I mean, he's had you read some of the quotes last week. He's had front office people cussing about him, calling him everything, but a child guy. Yeah, and you've had players on both sides talking about him. There's been wonders, would he be cut just because of doing this? Like he put a lot on the line doing that. And, you know, a lot of people in this situation, even if they are the face of a franchise, it's a tough statement to make. Like we alluded to it back last week as well. Like Muhammad Ali lost some of the prime of his career standing up against the Vietnam War, saying he refused to apply for the draft. Yeah, like he got his boxing license taken, and that's losing a livelihood. It's not quite on par because Collins made some millions that he got to put away, but he pretty much risked blackballing himself in the NFL doing that. Yeah. So, yeah, a lot of people, they might not be willing to take that kind of a chance, and I'm not blaming them for that either. I mean, you do what you can in whatever way you feel comfortable. He felt something on his heart, and this is how he felt he should make it known. So that was the road he took, but I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people that agree with him, but they're too afraid to say it or show it, and kneeling or sitting as well because they might be in fear of losing that spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I can agree with that. You know, I guess kind of my own spin on that when you talked about, you know, possibly thinking what teammates or a coach may think. You know, if there's a lot to be said for team chemistry, and something like this could very easily divide a locker room. I can see a ton of players saying, hey, you know, they completely agree with Kaepernick, they agree with the message, just not the method. And I personally don't think there's a problem for those who want to side with Colin Kaepernick's message, but still choose the method of standing during the national anthem. I think it's very possible to do both and still be in agreement with Colin Kaepernick. I don't think Colin Kaepernick is going to turn away encouragement he's receiving from someone who still chooses to stand during the national anthem. Whether you stand or sit, like I said last week, one, you're still an American, and two, you can still be aware of what's happening in the society around you. So, you know, I think just because some people are standing doesn't mean they're disagreeing with Colin Kaepernick. They're just choosing a different method to either share the same message or they're choosing a different way to just express themselves.
Yeah. What do you think, Gus?
I can pretty much agree with both Darnell and Tyler said. I mean, there's more than one way to go about the message that you're getting, that you want put across, I should say. My thing is, so long as it ain't out there, you ain't going around killing people and, you know, just going about it in a real negative way. And I feel like this last time I checked, this ain't North Korea, so you have a freedom to speak about how you feel about it, whether it's like taking that seat, taking the knee, taking the seat vocally. I don't see anything wrong with it because it could be worse ways he could be out there spreading his message. So
yeah. Overall, just with me, I'm fine with everything Kaepernick's done. Like the only real issue that I would say I think he kind of went too far was the whole socks issue with the whole cops and the pigs thing. I just think don't get me wrong, there's some bad cops out there, there's bad people out there, no matter the profession, race or gender or whatever. But the kind of dudes out there that's actually good cops out there risking their lives out there daily doing the right thing. I think that was just kind of like a huge slap in the face for them. But overall, I agree with the message. I just think, with the whole socks thing, I think he went too far.
Okay.
All right, guys. Anything else you guys would like to add to the show or anything before we close?
Yeah, I only think it's appropriate to thank our very special guest for joining us. Thanks for the service, for your opinion. I honestly, I've always said that people who join the service and, put themselves on the line or, whatever they do, they're braver than I am to do it. So I definitely appreciate anybody who's willing to make that sacrifice and be willing to choose to defend our country.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for coming on, D.
There's no problem. I was glad for the invite, and I don't know about the very special guest part, man. I'm just an average listener like anybody else.
Yeah, man. But I got to give you a shout out too, man. My cousin Derek, he's got his own YouTube thing going on with cars right now. So he's up there getting some views and stuff. Find him on YouTube at the Black Scat Pack, right?
Yeah.
And you got a Twitter or Instagram or anything too?
Yeah, I got an Instagram, same name.
All right. So you can follow him on those two. Y'all can check us out. Y'all can Google us. Just start typing in Don't Kill the Messengers podcast. We're on Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, everywhere I could possibly think of. So just search us. And you can find us on Twitter as well at DKM_cast. So that's about it. So appreciate y'all for listening and tuning in.